Hello everyone. I'd like to take the next couple minutes to talk to you about chapters 11 and 12 out of my textbook for my communication class. The text is called A Speaker in Progress. And this week in chapter 11, I read about persuasive speaking and motivation. The first thing it addressed was the two types of audiences you can have as a persuasive speaker. You can either have a committed listener or an uncommitted listener. And basically what that means is a committed listener already has preconceived notions or preconceived ideas going into your persuasive speech. So rather than trying to persuade them to change their opinion, if it's against what you are persuading, then it's best to try and get them to rethink their side, because getting them to change their ideas or ideals, for that matter, is a big task. So your target audience as a persuasive speaker is an uncommitted listener, someone who hasn't made up their mind on something. It's easier to get them to see things your way. But we need to remember that all audiences are egocentric, so they're concerned about things that concern them. Knowing your audience's attitudes, beliefs, and values is going to go a long way when you're connecting with that audience and getting them to see things the way that you see them. So there's 3 proofs that were covered in chapter 11, and these are truths that are applicable to all persuasive speeches, or all persuasions for that matter. They are ethos, logos, and pathos. Ethos is it addresses credibility, and there's 3 types of credibility. There's initial credibility, derived credibility, and terminal credibility. The initial credibility is what you bring to the table as far as credentials right off the bat, things you can say. So if you're speaking on healthcare issues and you're a doctor, that's your initial credibility. Derived credibility comes from the credibility that you gain during your contact with your audience. Then terminal is what you leave them with. Logos is the logic and the reasoning behind it. So it's important to have examples to connect to your audience with, and then they can see, okay, this is what he's saying, this is why he's saying it, and it makes sense because of this. That's the logic to it. And then the pathos is the way you connect with your audience on an emotional level. And you can get that through heartfelt examples or ways that it affected you personally. And you can show your audience that connection in your words, in your vocal variants, and the way that you present and persuade the emotions behind your persuasion. I think all 3 are important elements to a good persuasive speech. You can't just have you can't just have the credibility and no logic and no emotional connection to your audience. An equal mix of all 3 is the best way to have a good persuasive speech and connect with your audience. Chapter 12 covered service learning opportunities for students of the communication in Austin Peay, the communication department and public speaking department. It basically covers the way that you can apply the learnings of your communications classes to helping nonprofit organizations and build your resume. And that's it. That's all that was covered in chapters 11 and 12. Thank you.